we're talking about in the future is water conservation. We can all do a lot better job at conserving water than we're doing right now. Some of the legislation that has passed recently is what I call the 2060, because I can't remember what the real number was, but basically what that says is in the year 2060, we'll not be using any more water in the state than we're using right now. And that's a good thing, because a lot of people look at it like it may defeat the progress of the state, or the industry won't come because of that. But there's proof there in some cities in Texas that that's not true, that they're actually doing better with the same amount of water than they were. So I think it makes us look progressive in order to be good water conservationists. So that's something that this group will be focusing on in the future. But we still have a couple more items to deal with in the area of water quality. Tonight we're going to be talking about potable water, what it takes to get water out of the lake to your faucet. And I think most of you know that that's one heck of a process. But we've got a panel of experts up here tonight that are going to lead us through that process and hopefully answer some questions that you may have. You were passed out, you were given the opportunity to have a 3x5 card and to write your question on that card. And people will pick those up as you have them prepared, and then we'll take those up here and I'll pose those questions to the panel. The other part of water quality that we're going to be dealing with is recreation water. A lot different than potable water, because potable water is treated water. Recreation water, where you swim, is just like it is. And there's some things going on there that hopefully you can be enlightened with. In about another month, I think we'll be talking about recreational water from the standpoint of water quality. So look forward to that. It may be in September. I don't think we can get it put together in August, but by September, we should be having another public meeting dealing with recreation water as it deals to water quality. So look forward to that. I would like to recognize those folks that are here from a federal agency. Do we have anybody here from a federal agency? Do we have anybody here from the state? Got a couple of guys. Would you guys stand up and introduce yourself, please? Brian? Ed? You elder.
Ed Canday, District 15 State Representative. Live over in southern Muskogee County, represent all of Haskell County and parts of 4 other counties.
Brian Renniger, District 17. I represent Pittsburgh, parts of Pittsburgh, all of Latimer, and part of Shakopee County, and I'm a veterinarian in the county.
I'm getting my instructions here. Do we have any local officials? City officials.
And I'm Slide Jane Norton, and I'm the mayor here.
Do we have any tribal folks here tonight? Good, disagree. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Okay. All right. What we have planned this evening is, like I said, we have 4 experts up here. Am I too close? I don't know where to be here, but anyway, we have 4 experts. If you break down X and PERT, you come up with SPERT, something like that. But anyway, we have a gentleman here. We have Derek Smithy from the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. We have Steve Thompson from the Department of Environmental Quality, and we have Robert. I forgot your last name. Vaughn is the city engineer. And then we have Dennis Millett, and Dennis is with the water district, the Crowder Water District. And these guys will give us, hopefully from the top to the bottom, about how things work as far as regulation goes, all the way to making clean water at your tap. So Selena,
I want to introduce my guy too.
do that, yes.
Todd Warren, who's my Public Works Director, and Jerry Lambert, he runs my water plant here, and I'm him and his guy.
Good. Glad to have you guys here. Yeah, great, great. So we'll start off with Derek. And I think your mic's hot, so anyway, you got it for 10 minutes. I've got them on the clock for 10 minutes each, so.
Let me run through this for you, just say next one.
Okay, that'll be fine. And I don't know, Penny, I'm hot. Am I going through menopause or what's the deal? I don't understand.
You are, and you have since 1993.
I am Derek Smithing. I'm the Water Quality Director with the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. And for the next 10 minutes, not that I need it, I'm kind of a loudmouth anyway. Okay. For about the next 10 minutes, I'm going to kind of hopefully do a couple of things, because when I hear the word water quality, that is a couple of big words that go a long way. And I know the focus tonight is water quality in the potable environment and water supply, and frankly, my training and history is in the ambient water quality side. So I'm going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to plant some seeds for the September meeting so that you can kind of get a flavor and a feel for where the ambient recreation, fish and wildlife water quality discussion goes. I'm also going to talk about some of the state and federal rules that govern both Steve and mine life in state government. And water management's a little bit like a Boston cream pie. There's a whole lot of layers that you have to get through. Federal level, state level, local level, county level. So we've all got to work together on that program. And then I also want to talk about there is some things underway and things that we do at the Water Board affecting water supply on the ambient environment. And I want to touch on those. On the federal side, water quality with a water supply focus has been a big issue for many, many years. Most of you are aware that, frankly, I think water quality in the real world is getting better and better. Black Death, the cholera outbreaks, mercury poisoning at Minamata Bay with tuna consumption. Historically, we've had a lot of real water quality-driven issues that have frankly largely gone away. So a lot of those major pollutant problems of not being able to drink out of the Potomac River or find anything alive, or the Cuyahoga River catching on fire, those are days of the past, but we still have some challenges in front of us that we're trying to face. You can see kind of a laundry list of federal programs, everything from the 1899 Rivers and Harbors Act all the way to the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, what we commonly call the Clean Water Act. All are trying to deal with water quality issues in the ambient environment and also in the water supply world. Okay, Benny? We also have some state laws and regulations, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on that to maybe give you a feel for where Oklahoma is. All state environmental agencies have some specific charges to protect and maintain water quality, to assure it is usable for water supply, recreation in and on the water, fish and wildlife propagation, and all state environmental agencies are charged with meeting those overarching goals of water in Oklahoma. Now, sometimes that's more of a challenge, and individual state agencies have individual responsibilities on meeting that rule. Go ahead, Penny. Here is some water and water rights. You know, at the Water Resources Board, we kind of have, I'll call it an exclusive on water quantity. So if there's water quantity issues, you want a water right permit to withdraw water, how much, when, at what time, how much water is available, surface water or groundwater. There's different state regulations on both of those. You come to the Water Resources Board, we give you a permit. But we are governed by state law when we do that. Federal law, interestingly enough, is largely silent on water quantity issues. Now, I will say here is an emerging issue, so I'm going to caveat that, and we can talk about it in a couple of months. But you can imagine, I'm going to use an extreme example as an example, you can imagine if someone withdraws all the water from a stream, what the water quality is like if you're a fish living in that stream. Not too good, because you can't swim on land. So EPA and other federal agencies are slowly starting to try to weave together water quantity and water quality, because of course they're related, but how they're related legally is a very, very difficult, challenging concept that we're going to be having to deal with over the next decade. Okay, Penny? There's also some state regulations on water quality standards. That is, my division at the Water Resources Board has three main charges. One of them is to do lakes diagnostic work, which includes bathymetric maps and reliable yield estimates. Another one is monitoring. We, through the foresight of the legislature in 1998 and the recent foresight this last year, have a very, very good surface and now groundwater quality monitoring program. You know, I know it's a shock to people, but we really don't need, listen to this, Steve, this will scare you. We don't need data to make decisions about water. But we do need data to make good decisions about water.
It has been impossible.
A lack of data has never kept a lot of us from making decisions, but good decisions require good data. And we're working really hard to collect some good data to make some good water quality management decisions for the future. And the other leg in my division is the water quality standards. It's important that all state agencies work in concert towards a common goal in terms of water quality, and the water quality standards are probably the primary vehicle of doing that, in that they establish beneficial uses, establish what's called an anti-degradation policy, and criteria to protect those uses. One of those uses in the water quality standards is public and private water supply. So one of the goals of the water quality standards promulgated by us is to make sure that the water that's in Eufaula or the water that's anywhere in the surface of Oklahoma can be treated and utilized for water supply. Now, frankly, that's not a very difficult bar to get over, because as these guys will tell you, all it really takes to treat water is money and power, money and energy and time. Unfortunately, we don't have an excess of any of those, so our charge is to make sure that the ambient water we've got can be efficiently treated for water supply purposes. And then I'll talk in a couple of months in greater detail about how we establish criteria to protect those uses. The whole suite of uses, from fish and wildlife propagation to recreation to aesthetics. The water supply piece, though, there's a whole suite of numerical criteria that EPA promulgates in the Safe Drinking Water Act as a polished product, like a maximum contaminant level or Safe Drinking Water Act values. And some of those are transferred into our water quality standards. Some of them are not. We do have some narratives in the standards, but we do have some numericals that are driven by the Safe Drinking Water Act, and I think these guys will talk about it here in a little bit. Next, Penny. More state regulations on standards. All agencies are supposed to implement those water quality standards within the scope of your jurisdiction. In stream water and in groundwater, go ahead, Penny. Here's kind of a schematic of, now this is, you'll have to blur your eyes because there's a lot of state agencies, more state agencies involved, but you know, there's non-point source agencies like Ag and Ag and Conservation Commission, point source controls at Ag, and Steve's agency at the DEQ, restoration targets when we clean up Superfund sites, raw water criteria you see there when municipalities treat water, what water comes in to allow them to treat it, recreation, what kind of bacterial load can waters sustain and still allow people to recreate at a safe level. So we do risk assessments, and we have bacteria criteria that apply to surface waters. There's federal partners, there's state partners. The key, though, is that the water quality standards are the common target for all state and federal programs. So when anyone works in the state of Oklahoma to achieve some sort of ambient threshold, we're all operating from the same set of state laws and the water quality standards that ultimately, when EPA approves, become federal law as well. Okay, Penny? I did have them throw another slide up here. Some of our charges at the water board. I mentioned water quantity. We have the water quality standards at the water board. We have some monitoring at the water board. Dam safety is at the water board, and infrastructure financing. Water management takes money, and that takes financing money. And we at the water board partner with Steve Shop to try to have some great financial incentive programs. The DEQ has a strong regulatory arm in terms of point source controls, Safe Drinking Water Act program, other things outside of the water arena, but in the water arena, fish consumption, TMDLs, total maximum daily loads, all that stuff's done at the Department of Environmental Quality, the Department of Ag, Food and Forestry. They have agricultural responsibilities for water. The Corporation Commission has oil and gas responsibilities for water. The Department of Mines, you can go ahead, Penny. The Department of Mines has mine responsibility for water quality. The Conservation Commission has non-point source control responsibility for water. So water gets a little bit hectic, and it's becoming more and more challenging, but we're really working hard to try to communicate, talk, and make sure that all of us state agencies are partnering and have a common vision of what Oklahoma's water supplies should be, and recreational waters that we'll talk about in a couple of months. So with that, I'm going to stop, turn it over to Steve for the next layer of the discussions.
Well, thank you all very much for inviting me down. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's good to see my friends Representative Reniger and Representative Canaday. You can tell about a legislator how they care about their constituents by the number of calls you get from them, and believe me, they will call. They both will call. Okay, I'm going to break this down into two pieces. What the DEQ does to protect the sources of drinking water, and what our responsibilities are to consumers of public water, from public water supplies. So let's start. I think it's probably easier for me to start, and Derek sort of covered this, but let me just put it in simple terms that I can understand. There are things that we do not regulate, and the things that we do not regulate generally have to do with production agriculture, the production of food, the production of animals. All those responsibilities are vested in the Department of Agriculture, and oil and gas exploration. And those